Hi there, in this video I'm going to walk you through 6 ways that you can create your mobile app and get into the mobile app business even if you are not a programmer. And even though I'm a programmer, there are some advanced strategies that I use, kind of like hybrid strategies where you can save money, save time, and still get your app developed. So the video takes you from relatively simple strategies to some relatively complex strategies that I've worked out over time. Now, the content here actually comes from my premium paid course on how to create a mobile app without programming. So here you get it for free. But after you create your app, there are 2 other things that you need. You need to know you need to learn about the app business, like how to make money with it, how to get 1 million downloads with it, right? So I have another premium training course explaining exactly how I got my apps to have over 1 million downloads, how I made money with my apps. And the link to that with a discount is going to be in the description of this video, in addition with a link to my business planning course, because those are the 2 things you need to get to do, right? You need really solid business fundamentals, which is what the business plan course will give you. And you really need to have a deep understanding of the app industry before you plunge into it, because even though you can make an app, there's still a long way to get to create a business out of your app, right? And so that's what those 2 links, that's where they're going to help you. And that way you'll have a complete overview of the whole ecosystem, and you'll be able to make a successful app. It's going to be much more likely. So anyway, with that, let's just get right into the content that makes up the course, which is about 6 ways to create a mobile app if you're not a programmer. The first desire that people have when they're trying to build apps and they don't know how to make the apps is to have someone build it for them for free. And that means getting a co-founder or a partner, a business partner, who's a software engineer. That is a great thing if you can get it. And that's what most people try first. There are some cautions that really I want to point out. And the cautions come from Paul Graham, who is the founder of the Y Combinator, which is the biggest startup, the biggest and most successful startup combinator in the world. And so he sees thousands of startups. He has seen and funded thousands of startups. And what he notices as one of the biggest distinction in success versus failure is if the partners have successfully worked together on a project before. If you are just getting random person, and say, hey, you know how to code, I need you to make my app, in most cases, that business fails. Even if they have money, which maybe you don't. And even if they have great advisors, which maybe you don't. Because the Y Combinator, those companies have world-class advisors and hundreds of thousands of dollars thrown at them. And still, if the people don't have good work ethic, if they have not worked together before, that is one of the biggest reasons of business failure. And so that's a mistake not to make. Do not jump in with random programmers. Do not just, you have to have a filling out process, and I'll talk a little bit about that shortly. So how do you find a good partner for your business, for your app, right? Most of the time, it doesn't actually happen. So that's something, it just comes with the territory. Most app entrepreneurs, they simply do not get a good partner, a good software engineer partner. So how do you maximize the chance of this happening? So because you should not jump in to these sorts of things, right? You have to look at it long term. I know that the thing that you really want is to have your app built ASAP, but sometimes life works in a slightly different way. Like sometimes life works in a way you have to be more patient. You have to put some work into it. And here's the work that you want to put into it. You want to go and start networking. Local meetups, local tech events, all that kind of things. Start networking in your business niche. Start building relationships. And when you build relationships, do not invite people and say, I got this brilliant idea. Because this is what entrepreneurs do, right? I got this brilliant idea. Oh my God, it's going to make $1 billion. I can't tell you what it is yet. You got to sign an NDA, or maybe you don't say that. And they're like, oh my God, join me. And then he's just like, no, this engineer can go work and make $100,000 at a company somewhere. Why are they going to join you for free, right? So don't do this. What you do instead is build relationships with them. Talk to them like a human being, not somebody like you want to use them for their coding skills, right? Get them to genuinely get interested in your business. take their feedback, see how they like it. If they don't like it, okay, fine. Maybe if there's a lot of people who don't like it, that can tell you something that maybe your idea can be improved. But in general, you want to continue to have these discussions and engage these people. Take charge in engaging them long term into maintaining a relationship, like, interact on Twitter, maybe become friends on Facebook, whatever. This is essentially going to become your business network, regardless of whether you're going to use this person as a software engineer for your business or no. It's a part of your business network, right? They're in the same industry, you're in the same industry. You should know them, you should continue that relationship with them. And what's going to happen long term is you're going to build comfort. They're going to, and with some of the people, you're going to especially build enjoyment. You're going to both enjoy discussing these things and getting together and brainstorming and dreaming and blah, blah, blah. And those are the people that you should start to say, hey, of all the things we're talking about, like, what are you seeing? What are you liking? And if, maybe if they like your idea, maybe they have a better suggestion, but at least, that's like a warm connection, right? This is an existing relationship. Also, of course, if they are going to be programming, you better bring something to the table. Do not just bring an idea. If you just bring an idea and say, I'm an idea person, people will laugh at that, either to your face or when you leave. That's like not a serious thing to say most of the time. If I'm a developer, and I'm a developer, if I'm working with like a marketing person, right, or a business person, I want them to be like top notch, because when I put my work into their hands, I don't want them to screw it up. So if you're a first-time app business person, try to see what value you can bring. Can you bring in an investor? Can you bring in an advisor? Can you learn this stuff like crazy so that you make yourself good very quickly? Can you learn the business of it very fast? All these things. So you have to bring value to the developer, a lot of value, and they have to see it. And you guys have to develop a comfortable pre-existing relationship. Those two factors, that will get more engineers to be interested in working with you. But of course, you do not want just about any engineer. So you're also interviewing the engineer. Do you enjoy spending time with them? Are you comfortable going back and forth, collaborating, brainstorming? Or are they stubborn? Or are you stubborn? Do you have chemistry? If you have those things, that's how you sort of basically you just slide in to a working relationship with an engineer. After networking, after you build a relationship, after you yourself have to bring a lot to the table. Those reasons, those ways, you greatly increase your chances of getting a programmer who will make your app. So that was the first strategy to create your app. Now let's get into the second one. If looking for a co-founder takes too long or leads you to frustrating places, and often that happens, that's more likely the case than not. If that's the case, the next step you can think about is hiring freelancers. Now let me explain to you what you need to keep in mind when hiring freelancers. You should probably, for developing and designing iPhone apps, a very reasonable price is like $15 to $20 an hour. You can get amazing developers. Not in the US. I use a website, and this is something I personally use with success, Upwork.com, and I hire freelancers here. And I've hired designers, and I've hired iPhone development help. And you can see even this is a job that I had, and this was like an amazing engineer. And he charges only $20 an hour, for example, right? Yeah, there it is, $20 an hour. And in 3 hours, he did I would have been struggling with that, fixing the problems that he fixed. I would have been struggling on my own because I am a developer also. But obviously, I do so many other things like teach courses, do Android. I'm not a great developer on iOS. I can just hack it because I'm so busy doing everything else. So, but he's a pro. And it would have taken me literally days and days. He did it in 3 hours. So this incredibly high quality programmers, and they do the job cheaply. $20 an hour is actually really cheap, and quickly. So what does that mean for you? That means that if you can get design, you can get the programming, and you can launch your app probably in under $5,000. Some points for you to keep in mind. If you're launching a complicated game, gonna be more costly. If you're launching an app that like has some complicated features, it might be more costly. If you're using technology like maybe the phone camera, especially on Android, because Android has so many different kinds of devices that it's really hard to, but made by different manufacturers, that it's really hard to make sure that something works on all the possible cameras and devices. Okay, so some features, and you'll kind of know what they are, they're just really complicated, and that might extend the number of hours that your your freelance programmer will have to work. But if you have a relatively simple app, and let's face it, most apps are relatively simple apps. There's not a lot of functionality there. They just, one screen, another screen, another screen. Maybe they goes to like a database, save some information, but there's not a whole lot. So really, what you do, you go and you find iPhone developers, and you can browse like the top people. It's gonna search now. It's looking up the developers, and you see how good the people are. Some people charge, $45 an hour. I think it gets to be a little bit expensive if you want to hire somebody who's gonna work for many hours. But they just show you the top people, right? But what you can do is you can choose by hourly rate. And I think this is just fine for iPhone development. You can get fantastic programmers for this rate. In fact, you saw that I got like a really good programmer, super professional for this rate. And it ended up being a small, actually, app development agency somewhere in Ukraine, right? What you can also do is, let's say you invite somebody, you invite one person, you invite another person. What if you don't get a response from them, right? What you can then do is you can post a job. I had it here. I just gotta go back a little bit. Yeah, there you go. You can post a job. This is like in your dashboard, and literally you will have like 20 or 30 people. You just fill this out, and it gives you like a little bit of a form. You explain exactly what you need. You should be clear, because these developers, they want to work with somebody who is like also a professional, so that you're going to be able to communicate clearly with them. So, here in the title of the job posting and description, tell them exactly what you're trying to do. Not too long, because, who's going to read it if it's too long, but also like clear, and so they understand what the work is. And then the right people will apply to your job, and you will get like literally 20 or 30 applications within a day or two. You should, at least I did. And that's you're gonna be able to choose. You're gonna be able to have a little chat with the developer, see how you feel, hire them. What I did is I hired them for the first like maybe 5 hours, right? Not a big huge loss, but basically I just want to see if this developer is good. I'll hire them for more time, and if the developer is not good, I'll just try another developer, right? So you want to experiment and find a developer who has good chemistry with you. And the first job, don't hire for more than 5 hours, because you just want to see how well they work. And that's really your trial period. So find a small task, maybe some little task. If you're looking for design, first maybe focus on the designers. When you're ready for the programming of the app, maybe focus on the first programming tasks. And make sure that they work well with you, they respect you, they work, they do the work on time, everything, and it's high quality. And if it is, hire them for more and more time. Ask them for estimates, how long they think it's gonna, how long each step is gonna take, and all that. And from there, basically, you will have a good relationship with your developer. And for just a few $1,000s, really, you'll be able to have a good design and live released app in not a very long time. It should really just take under 1 month, sometimes just a couple of weeks. So that's really what, if you use Upwork to its highest potential, you should be able to get an app out quickly without a lot of pain or headaches or anything like that. So really best. It does combine best of all worlds. In an upcoming lecture, I'm going to explain to you how to get even more out of Upwork. But for now, this is really how, basically, if you're hiring freelancers, this is really a fantastic place to do it. So that was the second strategy to create your app without being a programmer. Now let's get into the third one. For almost all the strategy discussed in this course, you're going to get your app, but you need an app logo. If you hire a freelance developer, they might make you a logo, but probably they'll charge you more than $5 for it. So to get your logo, to get your app icon, just the icon itself for your app, basically just you go to Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com, and search for app icon. And what you will see, many people might be familiar with the service, some people might not be. But basically what you will see is a lot of people who, look at this, I will design a stunning app icon, and the cost is $5. Now, it's not exactly $5, it could be more. So let's click on this person and see, because sometimes extra nice things cost extra money. So for example, if you want a one-day delivery, it's extra $10. If you want the actual source file so that you can give it to another developer to change it, or in the future, if you want yourself to edit it, it's going to be, to get the source file would be another $10, right? So, PNG, another $10. So you can end up with some expenses, more revisions of it, $5, right? So you can get that sort of thing, but the basic logo, they can design it for you for $5. And you don't have to hire the first person you see. You can go to the second person. Let's see how they're different. And let's see what they say. Probably, they charge more for one-day delivery. They kind of approximately have similar rates. This person is slightly more expensive. But overall, it's pretty cheap to get a logo like this. Pretty sweet logos. Pretty cool. Looks like a professional designer made them, I guess. I'm not a designer. But you basically just make sure you read the descriptions and see what is going to work for you out of all the options that you have here. And you can get it for $5, maybe $10, $15, $20, $25. But it's still a pretty cheap professionally designed app logo. And if you don't like something, you can always request a refund if you're not happy with the purchase. But this person has kind of cool, I don't know, what do you think? Do you like this person's portfolio here? I'm not a designer, sometimes it's difficult for me to tell. But anyway, that's how you get a really cheap logo outsourced on Fiverr.com. I don't recommend getting actual app developers on Fiverr, because that's Upwork has affordable developers that are much better. But this is where you get your logo. It's for the cheapest. So that was the third strategy for how to create your app. And now let's get into the fourth one. But before you do, let me remind you that you can create your app. You see, it's not that hard to eventually get one, but to make a business out of it is something else, right? So let me remind you that in the description of this video, there are a couple of links for you to get, my business planning course and my really premium mobile app business course, which will teach you how I got 1 million downloads for my apps, how I make money with the apps, really advanced cool stuff that really will help you turn your app idea into a serious business, right? Not just some little app. And to try that, at least click on the links and watch the preview lectures, because there are free preview lectures. So even if you don't buy those courses, you can at least, you're welcome to watch my preview lectures. Even if you don't spend any money, you're still welcome to do that. So anyway, now let's get into the rest of the lectures in this video. So we talked about hiring freelancers, and some of the times when you hire freelancers from Upwork, you will realize that they're freelancers, but they work for an agency somewhere overseas, and the agency is a discount agency. They're very good. They're usually very good. Usually if you find people with good reviews on Upwork, they do good work. But if you want like the extra tier of great work, right? Good, but this is like awesome. Take a look at, you can hire a mobile app agency that's like a premium, legit agency. And one example, and I'm not promoting them because I have like absolutely no business relationship with these people. I just kind of know of them, and this is Fueled Agency. I would almost recommend you don't use them because it's too expensive. But look at the kind of cool apps they make, right? First of all, like their homepage screams we're about design, right? We are Fueled, very nice branding, very slick, very smooth, and they show you a few of the recent favorites, a few apps they recently built, and you can see the apps they're a little bit, they're not so crazy complicated apps, but they are, there's a lot of stuff in the apps. It's very visual, it's very image driven. The UX you can see is kind of, very slick and smooth and all that stuff. So it's very interesting, these apps. This one app, you can see another app they made, and literally the way that I'm scrolling through their apps is actually I'm sliding up. So even the design of their page is really cool. And you can see the kind of apps they make. So you really see the quality. You see it's like, top-notch designs, really slick and smooth. So this is like the best. And when you work with them, the way it's going to work, it's going to be super professional. You're going to get a manager for your account you can always talk to, which you also get at the discount websites as well. But here you just get more. You get a manager, you get a designer, you get a programmer. And again, you get those things in the discount agencies, but here they are like really good, and you're gonna they really shoot for, it's not so much about the price and the budgeting, they really shoot for quality. So if you have money to burn, which, I mean, who does? Almost no one does. But if you have like an investor or some funds and you really want to go big on something, or if you're in a super competitive niche and you really need to go big, this kind of, not necessarily this company, but this kind of company may be a cool way to go. Right? And I'm just kind of scrolling so you would see there what they're all about. So, but again, this is for almost no one when they're starting out. This is if you have like money to spend, and you're going to spend tens of thousands of dollars probably on your app. It's going to come out really nice, but it's going to be expensive, and maybe not 10,000, but maybe tens of thousands of dollars. So you're going to get a lot of quality work, but expensive. Now I want to talk to you about one of my favorite ways to create apps, and that is learning how to create the apps on your own. Now, it's complicated and it's frustrating, I know. So in this tutorial, I'm just going to tell you how to do it in a way that's not frustrating, okay? So let's start from the very basics. Okay, so what I did when I first learned Android, it's like I knew nothing about Android development, just maybe like you might not know much, right? So what did I do? The first thing I did is, I typed into Google Android development introduction, and I found tutorials. Some tutorials didn't work for me. Some tutorials do work, like, Android workflow, development workflow. Here's a video, Android app development for beginners. Perfect. And by the way, doesn't this look like a video instructing on how to make apps? Online courses, right? You can take online courses that are much better organized and presented than YouTube videos. And you can literally see what the programmer presenting is showing and doing, and you can follow the steps and literally take a course and learn how to make the course, learn how to program on your own using the course, and saving you tons of frustration. Because for me, when I was learning it, there was no online, I didn't take an online course, and I had to learn it all by myself, and I was super stuck all the time, and it was really frustrating. Now, if you just take an online course, it's actually like they just walk you through every step. And if you're stuck, you email the instructor. Now, let me tell you what to do, what I did when I was stuck that got me unstuck, as I say. And to get unstuck, as I say, I use this website. It's totally free, stackoverflow.com. And this site is littered. This is actually, I'm logged in right now, so you can see I have a pretty strong profile here. I got like a lot of points and whatever. But this site is littered with stupid questions that I asked when I was stuck. And people like me who were stuck, and other developers who are experienced, really good developers, often help you. And why would they help you, you ask? Well, one, it's the number one community for programmers online. But two, sometimes those developers want to promote their own brand because sometimes you might hire them, or sometimes somebody else might hire them, or if they have a good profile on a website like this, they look impressive for potential employers. So there's incentive for them to help you. And usually, if they're experienced, your questions will be pretty easy for them to answer because you're just starting out. So it's not a lot of work for them either. And it's about all programming. So what you would have to do is ask, so this site, this site is about all kinds of programming. So when you ask your question, you would put your title, description, but here, you would put something Android, or you can see give you suggestions, or iOS, depending on what you're doing, and you would tag your question with those things, and people would know that this is what your question is about. So people specifically specializing in those things, they will help you. So if you take a course, and when you get stuck in the course, you can always email the instructor, but if you get stuck, if the instructor takes a while to answer, you can always post a question here, or keep on reading tutorials on your own, or just figuring things out on your own, because there is something to be said about learning how to figure things out on your own, because in programming you'll have to do it to some degree. So you can get a real good introduction to this. And in the next lecture, I'm going to explain to you how to make it even better and smoother and simpler. Now, if you are creating your own app and you're studying how to make your own app, what you want to do is actually have an app idea, any app idea that you're practicing with, that you're trying the concepts on so that you can launch the app. And what's going to happen is, here's my strategy for getting the most out of the freelancer you might hire versus the learning that you might do on your own. And this is what I call the hybrid strategy. And this is sort of something that I developed and I use, and this is like the best. Like, this is the best of everything, because you will learn the most, and you will spend the least time, and you will spend the least amount of money while getting a quality product out the door fast. So how do you do this? So what I do is, because I know that I have a business to run, and so I don't have time to be stuck in learning programming, and like, the time that I'm stuck is the time that nothing else gets done in my business. No marketing, no nothing, right? Other parts of the business fall behind, so I cannot afford to be stuck. So what I do is I hire freelance engineers, not just to make something for me, but to coach me, to get on Skype with me and share the screen and show me how to fix the problems that I'm having and show me how to do what I'm doing. Because once they show me and I get unstuck, it's really smooth sailing. There's not a lot of typing, there's not a lot of programming. There's really, like, the most time that is wasted on making an app is the time that you spend being confused and stuck and dealing with error messages. And that's what that programmer is going to do who you hire for freelancing. And in literally, like, in 1 or 2 hours, they can explain so much to you. They can get you like a day or two further than you would have been doing on your own if they're good. And just for like not a lot of money, just a couple of hours of work, and it's priceless. And this way you learn the most, you are able to update your app in the future with some of the basic and intermediate difficulty things, and you'll only need to outsource the very complicated things in your app, and there may not even be very complicated things in your app. So as long as you get to some level of quality of your own programming, you might be able to just take over all the programming and program it pretty simply, because you will have gotten coached by a really good programmer on how you can on your own do this, and saves you headaches. You'll avoid all the stress of being stuck, all the frustration. You'll just avoid it for a really cheap and affordable price, and you'll always be getting a better and better skill. Like, you'll be becoming a better programmer. So it's like the best of all worlds. It's something that I personally, that's what I do now. I started out just like stubbornly making my own apps and struggling and being frustrated, but now I just do this hybrid approach, and it's amazingly good. The cost is cheap, and the product development is fast and good, and I'm able to move on to other parts of my business or other parts of the app or whatever else I want to do. I want to show you another way to build your app without coding, and that is actually by using a software that kind of lets you arrange and rearrange the building blocks of each screen without coding. And the company I'm going to show you is App Machine, but there's a lot of companies like this, and I don't think that, I personally develop apps on my own, and as I told you, sometimes for difficult things I outsource freelancers. So this is not a method that I use, but if you don't want to have a complicated app and there's not too much going on in your app, you just want an app for your business, this might be a great way to go. And the way they explain it is basically you can tell that you can just kind of drag and drop design like buttons and text and all that stuff, and just have your app ready without coding, without having to hire a developer and anything like that, right? So I personally have not used this service because, again, I program my own apps or I outsource. Those are my preferred methods. But if you don't want to pursue those routes, they're either too frustrating or too expensive. As you can see, this is pretty affordable, $49 a month, and you can experiment with having your app, and then you can always hire a developer to tear the guts of the app, sort of maybe out, and maybe recreate the app. Once you see some success with the app, maybe you can get a developer to update some of the parts of the app which maybe are not easy to update with just this kind of off-the-shelf tool. So, but this is just a nice off-the-shelf tool. You can put yourself in the game with this, very affordable, pretty quickly you can get the app ready. So that's it for this course. What did you think? Leave me a comment. Please give me a thumbs up on YouTube and subscribe to my channel. I'll have more videos like this soon, and maybe even better ones. And if you did like this, let me remind you again that in the description of this video there are some links with discounts to sort of next steps courses that they're not they're not expensive, they're affordable, and I think it will provide tremendous value compared to the price that that I'm offering it to you for, and it will help you with business planning. It will help you really deeply understand the app business, and I think it's really worthwhile stuff for you to explore. So check that out. It's in the description of the video, and have a great day.